Jaire Alexander returns to practice for the Ravens. We'll go over who was all there for the Ravens and the Bills ahead of Sunday's showdown. The Ravens also signed a 3-time All-Pro special teamer. We'll talk about those details, and we hear from Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Roquan Smith, and John Harbaugh. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So Jaire Alexander returned to practice. He was limited today, but good to see him back out on the practice field. Isaiah Likely and Pat Ricard still out, though. Isaiah Likely obviously not expected to play this week, and as the days go, I would expect Pat Ricard to be less and less likely to play. Hopefully he does come back to practice, but he was not at practice today. I said this earlier in the week, but Ricard is the guy that I did not want to be out. I think that's the biggest loss out of all the guys that are questionable. I just did not want to see Pat Ricard out. If he is out, maybe we activate fullback Lucas Scott off the practice squad. Maybe Charlie Kolar's in there a lot more. We'll talk about him a little bit later too. Somebody's role's getting expanded, and there's a lot more pressure on the offensive line, I think, to do their job and win the battle in the trenches. You know, obviously that's expected anyway, but if you know how the Ravens run, man, Pat Ricard's a huge piece to that run game, and he's an extra O-lineman. He's an addition to the offensive line, and without him, I think you definitely get less blocking. You know, you get less quality blocking. Pat Ricard is a beast, man, so hopefully he can still get out there. I don't think by any means that he's out, but not practicing on Wednesday, hasn't practiced in a few weeks, soft tissue injury, not the greatest sign here. So we'll see how the practices go over Thursday and Friday and the injury reports progress. But right now, I don't know. It's definitely up in the air for Jaire Alexander and Pat Ricard, but it was great to see Jaire return today. Looking at the Bills injury report for this week, we had limited practices from kicker Tyler Bass and corner Christian Benford. D-tackle Dwayne Carter did not practice with an Achilles injury. From my understanding, I think he's going to be out. Keon Coleman was limited with a groin injury. Khalil Shakir did get a full practice in, and then Tre'Davious White out with a groin injury. It's still kind of earlier in the week. We have a few more big practices and injury reports to come out before we really know who's going to play or who's not, or who's most likely to play and who's not. But the Bills are having some cornerback depth issues right now. They're pretty banged up at corner, and we'll see how that progresses, but I definitely think that that could be an opportunity for the Ravens to attack in this game. I do think that the Bills are going to be thin there. The Ravens made a signing today. They brought 3-time All-Pro special teamer and safety JT Gray to the practice squad. He's from the Saints. Thomas Grant Jr. was not seen at practice today, so I'm assuming that he was the guy released to clear that practice squad spot up. Harbaugh said that JT wanted to be here and is expected to be elevated for games very soon. I think that this is another, incredible special teams guy on the market like Jake Hummel was this offseason, and the Ravens went and attacked. The Ravens don't play around with their special teams. John Harbaugh, ex-special teams coach, and they want to build a really, really quality special teams. I think it's more important than ever, on kick returns especially. There's going to be a lot more kick returns this year, so I think the Ravens are trying to stack back up their special teams. I think we declined a little bit the last few years. It wasn't as good. There was definitely some missed tackles. We were letting up some big returns here and there, and we have high standards. I'm nitpicking at it. Yeah, it's not the worst in the league by any means, but I'm used to the Ravens having the best special teams unit, and it feels like they're getting back to that a little bit. So this signing is a special team signing for sure. It's not going to be really a safety depth signing, but he's a 3-time All-Pro special teamers, man. This guy blocked a punt for the Saints, and I think he could definitely, make some plays for the Ravens. I think this is a welcomed addition. He is going to take somebody's roster spot if he's active on game days. I don't know if he'll be active this week. That's a quick turnaround, but definitely by next week, I think we're seeing JT active as well as Jake Hummel. So we got two guys that are primarily playing special teams that are going to be taking up game day roster spots, but I think that they're elite at what they do, and that's why they're deserving of it. So we'll see whose spot they take. We'll see who's inactive for game days on Sunday. But welcome, JT Gray.
Feel very blessed. Okay, let's use that word. That JT Gray's here. He wanted to be here, and he'll be contributing very soon, I'm sure, on special teams for us.
Week 1 is finally here. Football is back, baby. And this year, I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook to bring you an incredible offer. New customers bet $5 to get $300 instantly in bonus bets and $200 off of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. You heard that right. Bet just $5 and you get $300 instantly in bonus bets and $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just make sure you sign up using my promo code TFR. Lamar Jackson spoke to the media today. He didn't say a ton, definitely shorter answers from everybody. It is locked in regular season mode. You're not getting a lot of information. You're not getting a lot of candid rants that you get sometimes throughout the offseason. And Lamar didn't want to talk about a lot. He definitely didn't want to talk about his contract. And he said football's here. We're not even discussing it at all. But he did talk about this team being locked in, heading back to Buffalo, the mindset of this team. And he also spoke on something that I think is very important, and that is rust heading into week 1 when you haven't played in the preseason. It is guaranteed that there will be more mistakes and some rust that you're just not really expecting because nobody's played in the preseason. No one's played an actual football game. These starters have not been out there live tackling against an opponent. I know you tackle in training camp a little bit, but it's just not the same. And until you go out there and get hit, until, the speed of the game kind of shocks you again, I just think it takes a couple drives. It's going to take a couple games into the season for you to really start gelling and get the timing down and, have top chemistry with your receivers and understand the offense inside and out. You can understand everything on paper, and heading into Buffalo, they probably feel prepared. They're locked in as they possibly can be. But until you're out there, rust can play a factor, and Lamar talked about that today.
Just practicing how you play, competing extremely hard at practice against my guys. Guys just, holding their coverages and, doing exotic blitzes and stuff like that. That's helping us out, from when the game comes. And even though we're not getting hit, it's like I take everything like it's game speed, like it's a game scenario. And that's why I feel like I'll be prepared.
Do you have a sense of where this offense is, readiness as opposed to other years, year 3 with Todd and all that?
I never know, I feel like as the game goes on, we pretty much find out. You never know. It's like on paper, everything look good on paper until you get out there on the field. So I just find out we playing.
Mark Andrews also spoke to the media. He was asked a lot of questions about returning to Buffalo again, which I just kind of wish at this point we'd leave him alone a little bit with that. I know he's thinking about it. He says he's not thinking about it. He's moved on. He's ready for the game, which I'm sure he is, but you obviously think about it. There's no way that you're not warming up on Sunday and not think about what happened in the playoff game. But asking him over and over again, I don't really think solves a lot. But he talked about it a little bit today. I'm not going to play that clip. What I do want to talk about is his high praise for Charlie Kolar. And he said that Charlie Kolar had the best training camp that he's ever seen by any player.
Isaiah's not ready to go. You talked about Charlie Kolar and his ability to step up and be your running mate in that regard?
He's had an incredible camp. It's like one of the best camps I've really ever seen by a player. Just a total stud. He's been balling out, taking a big workload, and he's just continued to make big strides. He's doing incredible in the blocking game, but he's running great routes and he's looking really fluid. So I'm excited about him, and he's going to have a big year.
Especially if Pat Ricard is out, I think Charlie Kolar is going to be used in a variety of ways in this game. I'm not necessarily playing fullback, but 2 tight end sets often. It's a way to get this run game going with a Pat Ricard not in the game. Charlie Kolar is going to play a lot. Isaiah Likely's not going to be out there. Charlie Kolar is going to have a huge role, not only from a receiving standpoint, he's going to play the Isaiah Likely role a little bit as a receiver, but also a blocking role as well, and a key blocking role. And Charlie Kolar's been good at that. He's been growing as a receiver over the years, and we've been hearing a lot of great things out of him, man. So hopefully that Charlie Kolar does kind of have a standout game and really steps up, and I don't expect anything else. I feel like Charlie Kolar's always been solid when given the opportunity. He's usually not thrusted into a premier opportunity, but I think this game we're going to see a lot more Charlie Kolar than we're used to, with Isaiah likely being out and potentially Pat Ricard being out. So let's go Charlie Kolar. Roquan Smith also spoke to the media. He talked about the importance of making the Bills one-dimensional and stopping the run early. Very similar to what we heard from Kyle Hamilton a few days ago.
I think first and foremost going up against him, I think it starts with stopping the run. Just truth be told, like making the guys one-dimensional, and that starts with stopping Cook. Got a lot of respect for him, the way he run the ball and whatnot, and stopping them, making them one-dimensional and forcing it to be a drop-back game. And when you do that, then things can go a different direction. So it's got to start first, stop the run, and then we'll go from there, and that's something that we will do.
I love that Roquan said that's something we will do. You know, it wasn't just we need to stop the run. It's like, no, we will stop the run. This is going to happen. I love that confidence. I love that energy. I love hearing Roquan Smith talk. I think that that breathes life into the defense too. You know, if he's saying that to the media, imagine what he's saying to the guys behind doors too. So I think that that's incredible, and it's the right game plan. It's always the right game plan. Make every team one-dimensional. The Ravens should always stop the run, and with how strong of a D-line they have, with Matt Abike and a healthy Travis Jones, the linebackers they have, there's no reason not to stop the run. Now, it is week one. Like I mentioned earlier, rust is always a thing. Maybe you're not tackling as sharp or taking the perfect angles. I know they've been practicing it, but it is different in a live game. And, you know, the Bills got some shifty guys, man. James Cook's shifty. Josh Allen's always hard to get on the ground. And they could get the run game going a little bit, but I think that the Ravens have everything they need to stop the run, so hopefully they do get that job done. And back up Roquan Smith's words. He also talked about what Marlon Humphrey said earlier in the offseason, where he was saying that the Ravens defense isn't feared anymore and they need to get back to that. Roquan Smith gave his thoughts on that too and pretty much echoed what Marlon said.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. And I think it's more so about instilling fear into your opponents. And I think that just goes with the way you play ball, being relentless. Any chance you get to take a cat out, you take a cat out within the rules, obviously, but like that's how you have to play, and just play with an attitude. And I think we play with that edge and that attitude, play in, play out, and do to the best of our standard and to our standard, each and every individual that goes out there, and we'll instill that fear in the individuals. But it starts week one. We have to show the world exactly who we are, because we know who we are. So it's just now it's about showing it and not having self-inflicted.
That's it for today, guys. Let me know what you're thinking about everything. We got practice again Thursday and Friday. 2 more injury reports to come out as well, so be eyeing up the Bills and Ravens injury reports throughout the week to see who's going to be there Sunday night. But man, I can't wait for this game. I'm so hyped for this game. I wish it was at 1 o'clock, man, just because we got to watch football all day and wait for the Ravens and then be up late. But it is what it is, man. I'm not getting picky about being in prime time or having a elite matchup, you know, in week one that we just lost to. I think it's a great story, and I'm excited for it, man. I think the Ravens got everything they need. They are the better team in this matchup. They're going to be the better team in most matchups, if not all matchups this season. It's just whether they're going to go out there and play like the Ravens we know. And it's week one, so you really have no idea. You have no idea how anyone's going to play, especially with the lack of preseason play. It is such a question mark, but that's what makes it even more exciting and more fun. So can't wait. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly.